Like any self-respecting man, I love My Little Pony Friendship is Magic. And like anyone who loves My Little Pony, I love the song Smile, Smile, Smile. And what I particularly love about it is the animation of this walk cycle used throughout the song. It's really fun and appealing. The motion tightly fits the staccato beat of the song while still feeling light and snappy. It quickly and simply captures the mood of the whole number. How does it do that? How does what is basically a simple walk cycle feel tight and rhythmic and happy and loose all at the same time? Well, I'm going to analyze this cycle and sort of reverse engineer it so we can figure out how it works and learn from it. Let's start with the technical basics. Framing through the animation, we can see that there's a step on each beat, and each step is 9 frames, which at 24 frames per second matches up with the 160 beat per minute tempo of the song. So if each step is 9 frames, that means we need 18 frames to make the cycle. So first we need to figure out the keyframes that define the motion. In the case of a walk, we need both the contact position where the weight is down on the foot and the passing position where the weight is up so the feet can switch. Looking at the animation of each leg, you can divide the motion into 2 phases, straight and bent. Both phases are 9 frames long, one isn't favored over the other, and they alternate cleanly between the 2 front legs. They don't ever overlap where both legs are straight or bent at the same time. We know that the keyframe is likely the most extreme position, and looking at the bent leg we can see that the crest of the motion, where it's highest, is right in the middle of the phase. That'll come in handy in a minute. If you look at the movement of the torso from this angle, it's basically just a ball bouncing up and down with the beat, and the down position is the same frame as the high position of the bent leg. That looks like the correct frame for the contact position, so let's adjust our chart so we can make that frame 1 of our cycle, and the same key for the other leg will be at frame 10. I made a scene here in Flash, changed the frame rate to 24, important, and put screen caps of the frames on a guide layer. Then, on a new layer, I quickly roughed over the image with the brush tool. I also made a layer with an MP3 of the song so I can test my animation in time with the beat. It's not really actually moving yet, but you can already see from the design how the front legs make an appealing, dynamic shape that'll look nice shifting back and forth once it's actually animated. Also note how the back legs have the same timing as the front, just alternated. They're not delayed, which helps reinforce the beat of the music. You can also see that Pinky's butt is swaying side to side to counteract the swing of the leg. Next, we need to find the passing position, where the weight is off the legs and the torso is at its highest. Without even looking, it's safe to say it's probably somewhere halfway between the contact keys. The answer looks to be at frames 6 and 15, which is also where the legs switch between being bent and straight. So we'll add those to our animation as our remaining keys. Now we can say our animation is actually moving. It's stiff and choppy, and if you look at it long enough, it actually sort of looks like it's going backwards, but it's functional. We've got the basic timing of the movement nailed down, which is what's important, because if it doesn't work at this point, no amount of extra drawings to smooth things out is going to fix it. The keyframes are like the nouns and verbs of the motion. They describe what's going on. In this case, we've got a pony walking in time with the rhythm of the music. Now we'll add the breakdowns, which are like the adverbs that tell us how things are moving, and that will give us the light, snappy feeling we're still missing. Let's go all the way back to the beginning of our analysis. Remember how I pointed out that the bent leg's position crested right in the middle of the motion? Well, I didn't mention the straight leg. Does it crest in the middle too, which would put it right on the beat just like the bent leg? No, it doesn't. Its most extreme position is actually 2 frames earlier, which would make it frames 8 and 17 in our animation. Having this extreme ahead of the beat serves 2 purposes. First, it creates an accent for the beat, emphasizing the weight coming down and giving more visual oomph to the hoof hitting the ground. It's also a general rule of thumb in animation that visual accents tend to feel better placed a frame or 2 before the actual sound. Secondly, by moving the step 2 frames earlier, the bent leg now has fewer frames to come down, which means the leg moves faster going down than it does coming up, giving us that snappy feeling we're looking for. As you can see, that 1 extra drawing per step made a huge change in the feeling of this walk. I also drew out frames 3 and 12 at this point, but they're not really breakdowns, just basic in-betweens to smooth out the motion of the step so it looks less jerky. Frames 5 and 14 are sort of like a mini breakdown. They help shape the motion instead of just smoothing things out like a regular in-between. In this case, they hold back the bent leg just a bit to give it more pop when it straightens out on the next frame. Also, this way I don't have any drawing held more than 2 frames. You could in between the remaining frames to smooth it out further, but we're basically complete here. If you're interested in animation, I suggest trying to analyze and break down scenes like this. It definitely helps you understand how things are constructed. I didn't even mention the tail, which only sways half as fast as the legs and is offset some to help loosen up the motion even more. For that matter, I'm also ignoring the head. But you get the gist. Besides, I've got ponies I could be watching.